Welcome, colleagues, and thank you for attending this session looking at an academic staff development perspective on integrating technology in teaching and learning, and some of the methodologies that we've employed at the University of the Free State towards integrating technology in our teaching and learning initiatives on campus. I hopefully won't be keeping you too long for this session. Some background. In 2012, the e-learning division at the University of the Free State really looked and reviewed the structure, internal structure, in terms of where it was going and how it was going to support academic staff. And during those discussions, we realized that we actually needed to rebrand into focusing more on the course design, delivery, and assessment, moving the focus away from the technology per se, and looking at the quality of teaching and learning. So we've rebranded into curriculum delivery and innovation within the institution, looking at those three blocks of design, delivery, and assessment, and throughout how we can support academic staff and students while having a research focus as well. Now, as I mentioned, in 2012, we've embarked on this process where we've also done some research on the profile of our staff and students in 2013, looking at staff and students' technology ownership, as well as how they see they would like to use the technology in their teaching and learning. And this is just a summary of some of the brief summary of some of the points that was identified in that study, that both staff and students agree that they feel more engaged with technology in teaching and learning, that they feel they connect better with each other in the teaching and learning process, and that our staff and students, even in South Africa, already have the devices to connect to the internet, although they may not necessarily have the data or access to data points to access the internet. And then they would like to communicate more with one another, but they still feel that they need help and support in using the technology. So at the University of the Free State, we currently use Blackboard as institutional learning management system. For a long time, the focus was on the quantity. And that was what management was interested in, how many lecturers are using the technology, and not necessarily on the quality of teaching and learning, what was happening in those modules. So for about a 5-year period, there was a focus on getting lecturers on board in terms of using the technology, which has led to questions like this: how do I upload content to Blackboard? I don't know how to do this. Can you do this for me? Can you please send some marks? So it was a technical support function which was actually allocated to academic support department. And the question started, how do we move away from this perception that we are techies to integrating Blackboard more as an integral part of course design, with taking into consideration good teaching and learning principles. And then at the same time, how do we actually empower our academic staff to continue without the middleman in doing some of the technical aspects? So in terms of staff development, and sorry, I see my header didn't come out as I planned, but in terms of staff development, we've got Blackboard certified trainers within the unit working through different training formats with academic staff. Very important is that we have 7 faculties that are quite diverse in terms of the needs of academics in those faculties, and that each of these faculties also have a different maturity level in terms of the use of technology. So based on those differences, we've also taken that into account in the way that we deliver our training. Now, one of the key projects that we are using to drive this academic change is through the Extreme Makeover process, where we actually look at modules, and we've rebranded that into a module makeover project, where we look at the teaching and learning taking place into modules and then help academics to make different levels of changes in those courses to bring along some change. This project is focused on evidence, so we work with academics in terms of the data profiles of what their modules look like, and we also engage with them on how we can evaluate and monitor the change that they bring along in their modules. So you can see it's different levels with different types of interventions, with a minute makeover, looking at the design of the course in terms of how it's packed together for academics, in terms, and for students in terms of the organization, with a major makeover looking at the total redesign of module outcomes, content, as well as assessment. And this is just to show you that we engage on different levels in terms of research, staff training, student support, as well as writing skills with academics, and we work together with faculties in terms of bringing along the change. What this has meant for people in the curriculum delivery and innovation focus area is that we had to re-look the role of a traditional learning designer to say, how can you do the traditional instructional design work, but at the same time be a trainer, a builder, a consultant, and very important, a supporter for academics to motivate them to actually use the technology and be innovative in their course design. So in terms of staff development, we've actually moved away from a faculty-specific approach to almost more a discipline-specific approach, where we work with specific departments that want to bring along some change. It is a just-in-time training approach. Academics don't want to attend long workshops anymore. They feel they want help more on an individual basis at their own pace, with a variety of training resources. And we're also looking and playing around with online learning communities and how we can engage faculties in terms of staff development in online communities. But very important, this is a multidisciplinary approach where a specialized skill set is no longer in one person, but more in a team. And very important, academics need to share their success and give feedback on how they feel that they can improve the process. So what do we need to change? These are one of those wicked challenges as identified in the Horizon report, where staff development always seems to be a challenge. Very important is that we get institutional alignment between what is expected from academic staff, especially between role players such as institutional research and academic planning, academic staff development, and curriculum delivery and innovation. How do we find the balance in terms of high impact practices and really reaching our target audience? Timelines for academics is sometimes challenging in a project like this, and sticking to timelines. And very concerning is the digital literacy of academic staff. We see that we get a younger staff complement that knows how to work with mobile technologies, but not necessarily with word processing technology. And how do we incentivize this? Is it a continuous professional development, or is it through digital badges? And then we are working on multi-campuses, with the university having campuses on 3 different locations. How do we get people on those different campuses to collaborate in terms of course design and development? But then at the same time, how do you internally position yourself and make sure that staff internally get the necessary training and development to keep up with changes that academics require from your staff? And I don't know if there's any questions or comments. Thank you.